Hi again, everybody, and welcome into the Wiffle Wednesday live chat, episode 30. 30 times of coming on here going live. It still feels like it's a part of like a process that I have to remind myself that I do every Wednesday. I set an alarm on my phone to remind myself, hey, don't forget to go live. But for 30 weeks, I've been here. So I appreciate anyone who's watched, commented, liked, subscribed, every single thing that you can do. That's actually one of the things I'm going to talk about today is like AI and social media. I feel like the push for like being on all the socials is exhausting, and I'm doing it, so I can't really say anything. But like every month, I've been trying to add. I shouldn't even say every month because it's been less sporadic than that. I should say more sporadic. It's probably been like once every 3 months, but I keep trying to push more ways to find people, more ways for people to find me, and it is kind of like pulling in all directions. And it's interesting because I thought Substack would be a very good way for me to um, like talk more in depth about the things I want to talk about because I do like the written word. I do like writing. I kind of I go into a state of flow very easily when I'm writing. At least I think I do. My brain processes writing very well, and I like to type. So I thought Substack would be a great way to do it, but I am very discouraged just by the lack of like interaction on that website because I didn't bring anyone to that site. I didn't have a mailing list. I don't have a list of emails, so it's very hard to organically build followers there and build a brand. But in the end, I'm going to just keep posting stuff when I can because people don't find you because you make stuff they find or make something on Substack specifically. They find you because they like your style. Maybe someone does like one out of every 100 people that follows me on Substack found me just on Substack. So it's more about the input than the output. And I've said that since the beginning of like re-upping my socials in October. So we're coming up on 8 months of me like pushing all my chips in back on social media. I was talking about it with someone last night. They asked like, how much money do I make on socials? And I said $0 and 0 cents. I used to have more of an online presence, more YouTube, more affiliate links that were posted everywhere, and I still post them at every YouTube video. But each website kind of has their own rules about what you can and can't post. Specifically, like TikTok doesn't want you posting things to take away from their website. I tried to go on TikTok live a few times, and they have some really, really impressive AI that is scanning for keywords and things like that. And if you say certain things that are even remotely like possible that they could pull the viewer away from TikTok, they immediately shut you down. So I can't mention eBay, I can't mention whatnot, which is essentially all I'm talking about because those are my sales channels. I have talked to someone on TikTok about selling on there. They do pretty well. They said it is kind of saturated as far as like how many people are on there trying to sell, but it's another avenue, another group of people that I've never accessed before. And I think I have probably more followers on there than most of my other socials. So it might be worth a try to at least just dip my toe in it. But yeah, like I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. I started Facebook in the last, I don't know, 9 or 10 days. I put a link in the description of this video. um, I have links to everything everywhere. It's exhausting, but in that same breath, I think Facebook has kind of hit a spot for me because I can post videos, I can post written word, I can post pictures, I can kind of like I don't know, it's kind of a mix of everything, and that's what it's always been. But I've never used it for business. I've always just used it for personal. So when I made the business page, I sent out a link to all my friends on Facebook, and I mean, I gained 78 followers immediately. And another thing that happened that I wasn't expecting is people started talking about it with me in person. So last night I had a doubleheader, and I had four different people talk to me about sports cards, at least four, and about my business because they had seen me, post about it on Facebook. So I had four different conversations about cards, and I think cards are cool again. I don't know. I was always embarrassed when I collected in school. Like I was on lunch break. Once you finish your lunch, you can go to the library or the gym or whatever. So I would go into the library and I would go on the old Beckett forums, which then became like Freedom Cardboard forums and then Blowout forums. So I've always been a forum kid, even though I'm 36 and forums are dead. I still go on them pretty much daily. But when I was in high school, forums were like where all the activity was. And I was going there on my lunch break or after lunch, and I was always embarrassed that like that's what I was doing, and I was always scared someone would see. I'd try and find the computer that was facing away from the door so no one would walk in and see what I was doing. And yeah, it's always been I feel like it's always been, at least maybe it's even just personal that I always thought it was embarrassing. But I feel like now it's cool again. A lot of people are more interested in it than they've ever been. Social media is part of that. Also, Topps Fanatics is part of that. Their social media presence and talking about cards, it is a lot of value based and how much this card is worth. Oh, they bought this in a $5 pack. It is clickbaity, but in the end, it does have people talking more about cards and more interested in the entire card structure and economy. So that is kind of cool. We do need more content. Daily vlogs. I like the idea of daily vlogs. And this is lesson 101 for me in this business: is done is better than perfect. I struggle with trying to make content because I want it to be good. I don't want to just put content out to make content. So for videos, I would like to edit them like how my brain wants the video to show up, and what I can actually do and what I'm capable of doing are not the same thing. But in the end, I need to just work. I will never be able to edit the video how I want it to be if I don't work on editing. So that's my biggest issue. I do need to make more content and post more videos about the business and what I'm doing, the card shows I'm going to. Here's an embarrassing thing. Here's here's the GoPro I bought in Arizona in April, and it's still sitting in the box. Of course, I moved and other things have been happening in my life, but it's still in the box. I haven't even taken it out to see what's in here, how to structure it, how to wear it, how to charge it, how to use it. Nothing. So you can't get any better at something unless you do it. So that's something I definitely need to do. I think one of the easiest content things I could make is just flipping through value boxes, dollar boxes, whatever it is, and finding the things that I find. So this Saturday, I found 2 incredible deals on Paul Skeens, and I made a quick short video about it, but I think it would be even better if I could show it. If I could show it as it was happening, like if I could have shown that Paul Skeens in the stack of cards that I bought, the $5 sticker on it, and then shown that it said Pittsburgh on top instead of the Pirates, I would just do a voiceover. But I think that content would hit probably, I don't know. I think I got like 700 views on YouTube. I bet it would be 7,000 views on YouTube if I had that footage versus what I made afterwards, because anyone can make that footage. If I had raw in the box, in the value box, show the other cards that I'm looking at that I'm not buying, that I'm not picking up, and just show that one, it would have been a lot better. Yeah, all the videos I've taken on this so far have been fantastic. Zero. So that was a really good purchase. Great job, me. But the the whole social media thing, where I started on this was Brandon asked me how much money I make on YouTube and like on socials, and right now it's $0. I was monetized on YouTube, and it became kind of like a burden and felt like I felt stressed out about it, so I stopped posting. The issue with that, and I did not know this at the time, is if you stop posting, you can get demonetized if you don't meet the requirements anymore. And all I had to do to stay active was post 3 videos every 90 days. So post once a month and I would have been fine. But I missed the window, got demonetized, and now I'm trying to build up their requirements again. And the biggest one that I'm facing now, that was a breeze for me before, was watch hours, because we were doing breaks every Friday, sometimes twice a week. We were doing like Wednesday, Friday type thing. And those were usually anywhere from an hour to 3-hour streams. Sometimes we would do a second stream on Friday nights. And, we had 10 to 20 people who bought into that break who were watching it every night. And some people who weren't in the breaks that just enjoyed Josh and I doing breaks and just being our ridiculous selves. So I'm missing those watch hours. Having those would probably put me right over the top. And I would love to get back into monetization, but I also know that if that's all you're trying to do, if you're only trying to monetize, no one cares about your product then. So the bigger focus should be making content, making good content, doing the input, making the input, and worry about the output later. So I'm trying not to overly focus on it. And yeah, for 8 months now, it's just been about trying to build the brand, talk about what I'm passionate about, and hopefully anyone who's in the market of buying and selling cards can learn something. I would love to teach people things, because I do enjoy talking about this more than just about anything on earth. Baseball/baseball cards is so, I just feel like I could go on and on about it, about the different things that I do, the different things that I enjoy doing, like the intricacies of the business is like an ever-changing model, and I kind of love that. I'm not focusing on bulk singles right now. I'm focusing more on like high margin singles. And with that, I had an incredible week. And this is again where I think the GoPro and better content would come into play. I had one of the best buying weeks I've had probably this year, not ever, but this year. The two main deals that I posted were the 5 into like probably $100 cards. I think both of those Skeens cards that I posted, I'm into those for $6 total. They're probably worth about 200. That's pretty rare for me to come across those type of deals. But I stacked on top of those. I had 4 cards this week that I bought for 20 or less, and I've sold for 60 or more. I had 4 different cards. I had 2 back to back on Monday. I had one Tuesday and then one this morning. So it's been a really good week of those type of sales, which are also rare. So the fact that I've already had 4 plus those big deals, it's kind of cool to see. Um, yeah, I do know that that is a thing, about scheduling your actual videos and releasing at the same time and every time, because I use AI a lot to like, it's essentially just bounce ideas off of for when I should post videos, what I should post about. Is this a good content idea? Not that I've posted like long form content in a while other than pickup videos, but it does help with some of the wording on my titles. Uh, the thumbnail versus the title, I've kind of always had those things be the same. And that something AI taught me was that they need to be variably different, and that the thumbnail needs to be have less information. I always put so much information on it. Even the thumbnails for these lives, I think, are too busy, but I like it, and I don't know, it's kind of cool. I think it fits my business coloring, the black and white. It could definitely be better. Clickbait, yeah. I mean, it's not clickbait. I do avoid that under all costs. All costs. I try and avoid it, but just the idea of you're targeting one person with your title, you're targeting search, and then you're targeting a quick scroll with your thumbnail. So the thumbnail needs to have less information, um, and right to the point. So it needs to be 4 to 8 words, essentially, is what a good thumbnail should be. So I do know that posting time matters. I do need to be better about that. I tried to kind of set myself up with a structure to post at 7 p.m. every day. I wanted to try 30 days of like posting a small short form video on every platform, but I cannot get into a groove yet in this new my new living situation. I have not found like my everyday routine, and I think partly it's because I'm playing baseball and our baseball schedule changes every week, so my nighttime routine changes, and it's a constant like rotation of time and like sleep, because last night didn't get home till, I don't know, midnight, didn't get to bed till 1 o'clock. I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. after 1 o'clock double header. So it's just it's a tough routine for me to get back into. I'm still working on it. And yeah, I'll get there. It will probably be after the baseball season's over and I have a pretty set routine. I have one thing I have kind of streamlined is my floor store day. I go to my floor store business. I work about 4 to 6 hours a week, depending on the week. But I've kind of narrowed that down to Thursdays, usually after my Wednesday shipping. So I wait, or all my sales from Wednesday, usually Whatnot Show on Wednesday. I wake up, I get that shipped by 10:30, and then I'm off to work. That's like 3 days worth of sleep. Jay Beck, I know you're a grinder. I know that you don't sleep much, but for me, that's not a good way for me to rotate the next day, especially because I usually played baseball the night before, and today I am sore. I think that was the most pitches I've thrown this year, probably in the last 2 years, actually. I'm not even sure how many I threw, but I pitched 4 or 5 times this year before this, and I think the max I was at was 63, and I went 4 1/3 last night, and yeah, I guarantee it was more than 63 pitches. So once I get back into the routine, or I shouldn't even say into the routine, into a new routine. So I have 2 card scanners. One is just a flat top scanner, HP DeskJet 2132. The moneymaker is the Fujitsu. Fujitsu is now owned by Ricoh. Ricoh 8170. It's a feed scanner, so I can take a stack of cards, put it in, and it just feeds through one at a time. And it scans the 8170. That 70 portion is how many scans per minute. So I actually scan cards at faster than 1 per second. The flatbed is for the higher value stuff, so people can see corners, and I'm also not sending it through a scanner to get scratched up, dinged, or whatever. However, that is a misconception with these feed scanners. That does not happen. The cards are perfectly fine from when they drop down. There's little feather grabbers in there that are not damaging the card in any way, shape, or form. I have a padded catcher. So when the card comes out of the scanner, it hits this, and then I have pads, so it hits the pad and falls into the tray, which I have just a penny sleeve in there. The penny sleeves protect it from hitting the plastic face to face. So common misconception is that cards are damaged running through the scanner, and I could not disagree more. If you keep your scanner clean, which I clean it every single use, I have a microfiber cloth. There's glass on both sides. That's how it gets the front and back image. I wipe that glass. I wipe the rollers. I wipe every single thing, every single use. It doesn't take long. You can just flip the lid open, wipe it down. I wipe it every single use. And yeah, the cards are perfectly fine through that. But when people are buying higher end cards, they usually want, and when I say higher end, I mean 40 and up, maybe 50 and up. They want to be able to see the corners a little bit clearer. So that's when I use the flatbed. And the flatbed is actually not as efficient as some of the overhead scanners. I should upgrade to an overhead scanner. I think Epson makes a good one where it just has a camera over top. You set the cards on the thing, press scan, and it immediately scans them, and it auto crops them as well. On the flatbed, I'm scanning, cropping myself, and wasting an incredible amount of time. And I do know it, and that's an efficiency that I need to work on. And I think if I was processing more cards, I'd have to, but I just don't process that many on the flatbed. So still an efficiency number that I could work on. Thanks for asking. Overall, like, card shop experience this week and just like buying, I wish I had that on camera, but it did kind of like ignite something in me. Of course, the like buying that I had this week was just, it was so strong and so good that I want to get back out there. So I talked about using socials already, using AI. I had ChatGPT. I actually pay for the slightly upgraded version, or whatever, so you can ask it kind of unlimited. I had it build me a card shop guide. Just upload a video of you doing the Carlton dance. I like that idea. I kept asking it, like, give me a list of card shops, give me a list of card shops, and it kept trying to like over dictate what it thought I was looking for. And it kept giving me these card shops or whatever, like in Northeast Ohio, in Columbus, and things like that. And I finally got it to build exactly what I want. And I said, I don't care what you think I want to see or what online reviews say or whatever. I want a list of every single spot in Ohio that claims to sell sports cards, has sold sports cards, might sell sports cards. And it gave me a list of 256 places sorted by city. It gave me a notes section. It's a full like workbook on Excel, and I'm super excited to dive into that. And that's something I'd like to make content on. Like, what did it give me? How much of these, or how many of these shops are actually useful to me? Because there's one of the most well-known card cult content makers in the United States is in Columbus. He has a shop in Columbus, and it was like, you need to check out this shop. This is one of the best content. No, it didn't give me gas stations that have retail packs. That's a good one, especially if I'm looking for the older 2023 retail packs, because I am still looking for those for the all aces. But one of the most known Ohio card collectors is Card Collector 2, and it had his shop on there. And it's like, you have to go here. This is good content. And I was like, listen here. I didn't do that. I just said, this could not be more wrong. I've been to that shop. It's the worst shop for baseball singles I've been to, like, in the state. This is not where I need to go. And finally, it like realized what I was trying to do and actually made the huge list that I wanted, sorted by city. Now I just need to map out how I'm going to hit as many as I can. And I would like to do like an area, try and hit everything in a day. And maybe I do that like every Thursday or every Tuesday. It'd be like my card shop guide. And again, maybe I can throw this on and actually make content about it. Yeah, I know there are, JBack, and I'm curious what's in the back. Do they have like 2024 update? That was a product that was printed pretty well, and retail product and cost on that stuff is up. I wonder how much stuff is just sitting in the back, or how far back does it go? Is there 2018 update sitting in some of these gas stations? Because if you remember, 2018 update was one of those products that they at the time it wasn't overprinted, but they highly discounted it. 2018 update could be had for $500 a case, all the way through most of 2019. It was a product that was just sitting there. You could have bought cases upon cases upon cases. I begged my family to do it with me. We had a bunch of money, and told them, hey, this is what we should do. We were putting in money every month, and I was like, this is what we should buy. This is what we should buy. This is what we should buy. And they were not as invested as I was in the card world. They didn't see the Ohtani, Soto, Acuna trend, and I was begging them, and we decided to do something else. So I'll think about that one until the day I die. I do need to get a holdings account and and get these the what's it called, MJ Holdings, the retail things in bulk. I absolutely need to do that. What I would like to do, this is yeah, MJ Holdings, that's what I was thinking of. This is what I would like to do is I want to shop, but I do not want people in there shopping. I would like a shop that I can use every day as my main working hub. I can ship out of there. I can sort there. I can have a little bit more space, and then I can start hiring people to work for me. The first person I'd hire is someone to ship for me. But the idea of having the ability to grow, have the ability to meet people somewhere, because there's this guy that I'm going this weekend. I have a show on Friday and maybe Saturday, and then Sunday if the other two are bust, but I highly doubt it. But there's really four really good shows this weekend. Friday for sure is a no doubter. I'm hoping to not blow my budget Friday because there's good opportunities, but I'm meeting a guy on Saturday at a show, and I would love to just be like, hey, meet me on Wednesday. Let's get this deal done. I'll know a little bit better what all you have, because it's a bulk deal, but it's stuff that I need. And then I can immediately like pivot my buying that weekend for more things of what I need. So I have a deal set up on Friday. When I get to that show, I already have a stack of cards waiting for me. I have a deal on Saturday with someone who already has a thing of cards for me. So if I could somehow get a shop or get I say shop, but that's the wrong word. If I could get a building, anything climate controlled that isn't a storage unit, because the storage unit, the dimensions are not what I want. I want something wider so I could put tables all over the place. Something where someone could meet me throughout the week. I will be there. Hey, I'll be here from 9 to 9 on Tuesday. Show up at any point that's convenient for you. Let's get this deal done, and I can immediately sort. However, one thing I will note, in this smaller space in this room in the new house, I am so efficient. The cards from Saturday, was it Saturday? Friday? Saturday? The cards from Saturday, I had that stuff processed. So when I say processed, I mean it was brought into new sleeves and top loaders. It was sorted into eBay. It was sorted into Whatnot. It was sorted into other projects. I have two other things going on that I sorted that stuff into, and everything was prepped by Saturday night. So it was all in new sleeves and top loaders. It was put into Whatnot boxes. It was put into its proper eBay sorting piles, and then I had it listed. I had all of it listed already by Tuesday night. Everything was put up, and yeah, sales were flying in. And the turnover, so I think I spent $19.50. I put it on Facebook. I don't remember the exact amount. Roughly $19.50. I had that $19.50 back by last night. So that is the most efficient I've been in card selling in my entire life. So yeah, that J-Back, that's true. It would be a pretty locked down area. That's always my biggest concern, is people knowing where I am. But I would have a pretty secure area, because the first thing I'm going to do is put in cameras, lock system that I control, hopefully electronic, which can be beat obviously, but have backups for key and whatever it might be. That is my biggest fear, is security. So, and with all the people are robbing shops weekly. If you look on Facebook, there's always someone posting about how they got hit, wax was stolen, all that. I don't want people to know the wax that I have. That would be listed probably under a different name, probably under a different website even. So the wax would be its own separate thing. I would love to bring back breaking if I had the space to do it. And again, it comes down to having help. I can run breaks. I love breaking. And it's not just the cards. It's not just that I get to open packs, but talking about cards while I'm ripping them is very, very fun. It's kind of like I'm trying not to sound overly cocky, but I'm very good at it because I enjoy it so much, and I just know the product, and it also helps me learn that product. That's one of the most underrated things about breaking. Not necessarily for these big breakers that are doing it like in multi case quantity over and over and over again. But for someone like me who buys singles on the secondary market and is at card shows, when I open a product, it's hard not to learn about the product. You know what's rare, you know what isn't, you know what players are in it, and you also know like the subtleties that are different. So like image variations, the golden mirrors. Some of those, if you turn it over, you can see that the entire back is gold. In 2023, that wasn't the case, but you start to learn what photographs are base cards and what are not, and you don't even realize you're doing it just because you've seen so much of the product. You start to notice it. So if you're in a dollar box later and you're just flying pretty fast, like I do, you'll see stuff that other people won't notice unless they turn it over. And why are you turning over every card? You're normally not. Some, sure, but not every card. So that's something that I know for a fact helped me in identifying value in products and stuff like that. So I even think about that now when I'm doing personal case rips, which I've done, I don't know, 10 to 12 this year, but even 2025 Topps Chrome Platinum. Immediately notice city variations. Most people are going to see those, but not everybody. The 55 cards that never were, that's a very distinct checklist that will stick out to me. That's something I will notice. The red prisms and gold prisms, if you open enough blasters and you know how hard they are to hit, you're going to grab pretty much anyone you see. So that kind of stuff, without opening, you might not realize every single subtlety of the product. So ripping definitely helps with that. And yeah, if I was breaking, I'd love to get into it. Yeah. And so that is JBack. I've done that too. We tried to do football and basketball breaks. That was more about what product was available and what people were requesting. This again, obviously was 2020 when we were doing football and basketball. And I will 100% admit I had a hard time with pronunciations, knowing who was good, who wasn't. I knew the top tier players, but anything out of the top 5 players, I was kind of lost on. So I think it was a bad experience for the people that joined that break. So I 100% agree. If you're ripping something and don't really know, not necessarily even the product, but the sport, the players and all that, it's not any fun for the people joining it. So that's a good pet peeve to have. I would love to get back into it though. And I don't even need to do the mass breaking that some of these big channels are doing. But if I could just have one product a week, one case rip a week, that was like kind of perfect. I really, really enjoyed that. You get the same people in there. You guys talk about the sport, talk about the product, talk about the players that are hot and cold. And in a perfect world, I'd like to do the same 30 people or 25 people. Some people can have 2 teams, but I just want a group of team collectors. It doesn't have to be, I'm not trying to break the bank or make this the number one way I make money, but it would be fun to just do regular baseball breaks with the same people, the same team collectors, and talk about the sport. I have my notes here. I'm just looking at that. The efficiency, I am much more efficient. I'm processing quicker. AI. Oh, I did. So I had it build a card shop tracker. And then the other thing that I saw someone else build with using AI was a buying program. And it sounds like they're doing it all on Fanatics Collect. So the AI is buying cards and then relisting them within the Fanatics Collect vault. I'm sure it's cards that don't have to be shipped. They're listed and shifted accounts. And that's something that interests me. But the more I looked into it, they're talking about sales that they've had, and they've maybe posted like 3 or 4 sales, and they're showing 20 to 30 to 40 buys. And that is kind of where I'd be anyway, is just bulk buying and hoping for sales to eventually catch up to the buying. And I'm okay with that. But the bigger thing is like, how is it actually operating? What is it identifying? And why is it purchasing, or how is it purchasing? Because you can't just say, you can't just give, well, I'm sure you actually can, but eBay won't allow it. You can't just give it your credit card and have AI just buy everything. But on Fanatics Collect, it sounds like that is something that you can absolutely do. So I am interested in diving into that a little bit. I did already kind of like ask chat like how I could go through it, and it gave me some code to work on. Like how each identify, like I think it was probably 10 or 11 things, player, missing titles, things that it could be working on. I don't even remember the list. Let's see, how deep is this? I have so many different chats going. No, No, not here. Not here quickly. For another chat, I'll bring that up. I did see Kike was breaking. Blake Snell was breaking. Nick Kurtz was breaking. It's so crazy, and it's interesting that these companies, because the top tier companies that are breaking, they have all of the advantages at this point. Of course, they got there because they were good, because they grinded, because of whatever. But it is a really, really hard market now to climb up into that top tier because these people, these high end breakers, or I shouldn't even say high end, these high volume breakers are getting more product at better pricing, and they can just go for so long. So the amount of product that they're getting would dwarf anyone trying to enter the market. Even card shops I know are getting 1/10th, 1/20th, 1/50th of the allocation that these places are getting, and they're getting it at probably MSRP or slightly above. And I know that they have to follow the same rules that the shops do, where they're buying in wave one and wave two. But if you are making hand over fist breaking 40 cases of round one, you're going to jump all over round two. So the advantages that the high end breakers have, and they could. I'm guessing Kike Hernandez, Blake Snell, Nick Kurtz, all these guys. I bet they're getting paid a pretty nice chunk of money to come show up. And also, I'm sure those guys would potentially do it for free because they get to rip cards too. But how does that conversation start? You want to come rip, or do you want to get paid to rip? And I'm sure there's money exchanging hands. Speaking of money, one thing I will note for sure is that the Ohtani market is finally softening. And that does not mean his cards are tanking. His cards are going to go to zero. But this is similar to the 2020 and 2021 market, or if you bought an Ohtani card and just waited 3 weeks, it was going to see an increase. And that has finally slowed down. I bought a stack of probably 60 to 80, I don't know, somewhere in that range. This is still the base left over from it, of 2025 Bowman's Best Shohei Ohtanis. There were inserts, serial number parallels, base, refractors, all kinds of stuff. Probably, like I said, about 60 to 80 cards. I have the exact number that I spent. I want to say it was like $2,200. This would have been in May. Or did I do it in April? I don't think it was in April. I spent $1,900 on an Ohtani lot of all 2025 Bowman's Best. It was definitely an easy win for me because there was a lot of low end, and that low end goes to whatnot, and it just churns over. But I have noticed that some of these cards, I had 3, 4, 5, 7 copies of some of the inserts. They were selling at 20, getting picked off, selling at 40, getting picked off. And now I have one of those $40 cards that kept selling, now listed at 30, and it's sitting there. The same thing with the refractors and the parallels. I had them listed at 20. They're not getting picked off immediately. I mean, some of these cards I was listing and they were sold within the hour, and it happened 3 or 4 times. So the market has finally softened. And I notice it on Whatnot more so than I feel like most people. I don't know what it is. The Ohtani, and maybe it's because the buyers in my show don't realize the Ohtani market. Yeah, I mean, see, but J-Back, I didn't take a hit on the Vlad lot. I just didn't hit this like unbelievable stride, because that first Vlad show that I did on Whatnot, where I ran only Vlads, that show blew any expectations I had out of the water. It was incredible. It turned over 40% of that lot immediately. And that did not include any of the case hits. It didn't include any of the autographs. It didn't include any of the low end, any of the non-serial numbered stuff, which I have moved. I would say less than I expected, but I have moved a decent amount of the low end. People have picked off singles and lots. Of course, it's not listed right now, but it's something that I would like to explore again with like doing lots of different cards, 20, 40, 60 different cards of Vlad. So I would almost guarantee I'm in the green on that lot. I sold a ton on eBay. A lot of the bigger stuff on eBay at in March and April. So Wasn't too crazy. And then the second lot that you sent me, um, it had a little bit of Vlad autographs and rookie stuff, and then but a lot of it was graded other players, and like there was some cosmic in there. I forget what all was in that lot. That lot combined with the first Vlad lot took me into the green for sure. So overall, it could have been better, but I'm definitely not upset with the way that went. It's something that I will continue to work through. I mean, sitting right here is still a Vlad Gold refractor from that lot. I have listed so much. Hey, Brandon, thanks for being here. Always, man. Always appreciate it. I still have so much of that sitting here, and I will continue to work through it. I would love to see him get back on a heater, and maybe the Blue Jays sneak into the playoffs somehow. But we'll see. I'm not worried. Vlad's still great. He's always been spotty like this, though, where he will pound the ball into the ground for 2 weeks. We're just at a point where he's doing it for 2.5 months now, and it's not ideal. I'm just not worried. I think for the most part, that was everything I wanted to talk about today. I was worried about not having enough talking points, but I got on that socials part, called myself out for not making content, and that took up almost 20 minutes. So the overall card market, I think, is still very, very strong. The summer slowdown is 100% here. The concentration is at the very top of who people are buying. I think right now we're at a pyramid of interesting people, and we are at a very, very small section. I would say there are probably 20 to 40 players at the top of this buying pyramid right now that anyone is interested in. And as the playoffs come back into play, like we start seeing the trade deadline and playoffs for baseball, that market will expand. And then once we hit the off season, if we have another season, I'm not convinced we do. I think we're going to miss time in 2027. And not only do I think we're going to miss time, I think we're going to miss the season. I think the season's gone, which is pathetically sad. If we don't, though, that pyramid flips upside down, and the entire bottom row of every single player who has cards and is still playing baseball has at least some appeal. But until then, I'm going to keep working on the top 20 to 40 guys, because that is what I focused on this weekend. And it worked pretty well. Judge and Ohtani are both getting screwed. They're going to miss prime seasons. Jose Ramirez is going to miss one of his prime seasons. Juan Soto, he's one of those guys that he doesn't play hard. And when I say play hard, he's not a center fielder that dives all over the place. He's not a shortstop that dives all over the place. He's not fast enough to be steal. He does steal a lot, but he's not fast enough to be sliding. He gets a lot of his steal standing up. He's a guy that if he has the 2020 season where he was hitting the absolute bananas out of the ball, and if he misses time next year, we're not talking about a guy not getting to 600 home runs. We're talking about him not getting to 700 home runs. He started so young and has such a he's so risk averse. He's one of the lowest risk averse players in the entire league, in my opinion, that he could actually get to 700 home runs if he was able to play all of these years. So if they take away 100 games from him in 2020 and a 2027 season, it's one of those things that just kind of ruins his entire all-time greatness status. And it's so sad. I mean, Soto might have already hit his prime. We don't know. Yeah, Hank Aaron, slow and steady, exactly right. He gets to 715 home runs because he played, I think, 23 seasons, and I don't think he ever had a season over 45 home runs. He just kept hitting 30 to 40, and he did it for 20 years. Pujols is very, very similar. Pujols had the average and RBIs and runs, though. Pujols was, as they call him, a machine. But he also, I think he played till he was 61 or 62. I still can't believe he hit 21 home runs in that final season. I did not think there was any way he got to 700, and then he did. His 2 seasons prior to that were just absolute dog crap, and then somehow he found second life in the Cardinals that last season, which was great for baseball. I thought that was just a phenomenal season, regardless of how it worked out, for the actual Cardinals that season. But watching him, Molina, and Wainwright finish out was pretty cool. I'm going to wrap it up. I got some stuff to work on today. I got to hit the post office. Still got to cancel my Spectrum. Yeah, I'm 24 days out of that apartment. Still didn't cancel Spectrum. So I have that stuff with me. I'm going to go drop that off. I'll be back next Wednesday. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you.